Hi everyone, and welcome to Therapy Unfiltered. I'm Joe Valder, clinical counselor here, counseling services at Johnson & Wales University. On this show, we take the mystery out of mental health and help you understand what it's really like to sit on the couch. It's time to take a deep breath and dive in. Hello and welcome everyone. Once again, I am Joe Valder, LMHC, clinical counselor in counseling services at Johnson & Wales University, and this is Therapy Unfiltered. And today I kind of want to reflect back on the very first episode we had and talking about my intention with this podcast and what some of my goals were. And really the main goal was to, help all you students and help you all feel more comfortable coming into counseling services. Up there, second floor, Wales Hall, I really want folks to, know where we are, feel comfortable in our space, be able to come up there when they need to, because I think oftentimes students come up when things are very challenging and perhaps they're experiencing a lot of stress or tough experience of anxiety or real low motivation, something related to depression, whatever it is. There's something else happening. And so when stuff is hard, usually it's even harder to go to a new place or a place you haven't been before, that's uncomfortable or unfamiliar. And then on top of that, of course, being counseling services, we have, the challenges of mental health stigma and all that stuff, and people worried about what folks might think and whatnot if they tell them they're going to counseling services, and just all these other barriers and all these other challenges. And so a big part of this podcast is helping students, helping you all, feel comfortable just coming in. And so to that end, I thought today it'd be very helpful to have on the podcast someone who you're going to see first, most likely. You're going to come up there on the elevator, you're going to enter and you can hit 2 on the elevator, come up to Wales Hall, second floor, and it's going to open up, and the very first thing you're going to see, walk out, and you're going to see Kim, our awesome front desk person there who helps out with scheduling and all sorts of things, really. And so today we have Kim, and I'm very excited. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, sure thing. And so I thought it'd be good to start off with, once again, a icebreaker type thing. And I told you my idea for an icebreaker. Maybe I'll change it last moment.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to change it. So it's very cold today, as it's been, and makes me think, Kim, tell me about your favorite season here in New England, and perhaps tell me why that's your favorite.
Definitely not winter. Summer, for sure, is my favorite season. I loathe being cold, so I like being warm. I love the beach. So what's a better place than Rhode Island for the beach? So definitely my favorite season is summer, and I try to make it feel like summer in my office year round. It's super warm. I keep the heat on really high. And
I have noticed. Yes. Yeah, no, and I agree. I definitely like summer as well. I'm a very food-centered person, and so I love a lot of the foods related to summer. Like I love fresh corn on the cob and all that stuff, and I love cooking outside, which I still do in the winter, but is a lot easier in the summer. But I also love, again, for a food reason, I love chilies and stews and soups and all that stuff,
yeah,
which tends to be more appropriate in the winter, it seems.
that is true. I love chowder year-round. Summer, whether it's hot, cold, clam chowder.
Cool.
All the way.
Well, another reason for students to come in, if they have any chowder thoughts or feelings, they can come in and talk to you,
That's
Kim.
true.
Yeah, so then just talking more about that process. So let's say there's a student and they want to, make just an appointment with us. It's not an emergency. There's no urgent concerns, nothing terribly pressing. I suppose they have 2 choices, right? They can call us or they can come in, right?
Correct. You either, to make an appointment, have to call, or you can come in person to make the appointment. There is no online feature for making appointments. So those are the best ways to do that. If you're nervous about making that call or coming in, feel free to do it with a friend or come in with a friend.
Yeah, we've had that before. I think we've had that just recently. If people come in little groups, and yeah, I think it's a very good way to help your friend and be supportive. But yeah, so you come in, let's say you come in person there, you'll meet with Kim and you'll take down some basic info, right? Nothing too complicated.
Right. Basic demographic information, name, obviously, phone number, where you live here, on campus, off campus, what your local address is, what your home address is. That's basically it.
Yeah. And something to note is you often ask about insurance,
I do.
too. And I just want to highlight here that Kim asked for insurance, right? But we're not billing insurance there
Correct.
at Counseling Services.
Right. We ask only for who your insurance is through, what provider you have. If we need any more information than that, we can always get that at a later time.
Yeah, and that's just because part of our role up there in Counseling Services is also to help students find therapists in the community. And so when it comes time to do that, it's good to have that bit of info because then it helps us figure out who you're gonna be able to see.
Exactly, because you will help with that process.
Right, and also
needed.
there's a chance too, if you see our psychiatrist who comes in, and if insurance isn't billed to see the psychiatrist, but if medications are prescribed, then in order to fill them, of course, you'll need insurance.
Correct.
Yeah, so then you come in, you provide that info for Kim, and I must say, I'm always very impressed with the students. Obviously, I'm impressed for a lot of reasons with students, but one thing is students always know their J number, right off the bat.
Yeah.
I've never had anyone have to look it up or anything.
No, I would say 99% of the students have that number memorized.
Yeah, I find that very impressive. I don't know how people memorize numbers.
Yeah,
so
because I believe it's just kind of randomly assigned, so, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so give that info to Kim, and then what happens after that?
So once we get all of that information, usually we assess whether this is your reasons for coming to counseling or something that can wait for the next available appointment, or if it's more of an urgent situation, can be seen and dealt with right away. If we're going to look for the next available appointment, we're just going to go through the schedule and see what's available and what fits with the student's schedule. Between classes and work and everything, usually it's not hard to find something that's within the next day, even sometimes same day, next day, that week for sure.
Yeah, certainly. And notable here is, I know oftentimes students are very busy, have a hard time scheduling, but especially if you have like labs or everyday lab or something. But we are open Fridays, of course.
Yep.
So, that'd be rather nifty, I suppose, if we weren't. But to, best provide for students, we are open, we're available, obviously, on Fridays to have appointments. So that tends to be a good day for a lot of people.
It does. Yep. It works well.
Cool. All right, so let's say you came in on a day like today, Thursday, right, and you scheduled maybe for tomorrow. What's going to happen tomorrow morning for that student?
So when you come in to schedule the appointment, I will explain at that time that we send out text reminders. So the night before your appointment, you will get a text message from our office to remind you of the day and the time of your appointment. In that text is also going to be a link to some initial paperwork that we require. That's all web-based, so you just need to click on the link to fill out those forms. You have to, even though you're going to get this text the night before, the forms need to be completed the day of your appointment. So you just have to do them the following day before your appointment time.
Yeah, exactly, and that that paperwork's really helpful for us therapist folks. It gives us some background info, kind of can help us prepare a little bit. Then also you do this big sort of survey of just your general functioning and sort of like, how you're experiencing anxiety and depression, things like that, just general symptom kind of checks, and that helps us too, just to kind of see how things change over time.
Right.
Go ahead, Kim.
No, I was just going to say a good thing to note is that those forms take about 15 to 20 minutes to fill out, so just to leave yourself enough time to get those completed before you come in.
Oh yeah, definitely, and because if you're unable to get them completed just because of the timeliness, typically we'll meet with you and then schedule another appointment. So if you are having trouble with them, I definitely would suggest coming in early, and then awesome Kim here can help you with that paperwork. Because sometimes there's an issue on our end too. There's like a little glitchy and it doesn't work or load
sometimes
correctly.
There's some technology issues here and there. So if you are running into that, I would advise that you give a call, and we can always work around that in some fashion, as opposed to coming in and not having it done.
Yeah, definitely. Really, it's as easy as that for that first appointment, which we call a triage. We used to call them intakes, we just call them triage now, just, a little different mindset, I suppose, with it. And I usually tell students, too, at those first appointments that, it tends to look very different than a typical therapy appointment because it's just a lot of information gathering, a lot of, we have like this little document we have to fill out, so there's a lot of preset questions we have to ask you about like background and why you're seeing us and what other mental health providers you've seen, all sorts of general questions like that. And I usually just like to tell people, Kim, that this is not typically how therapy looks because therapy is not just a therapist sitting there asking you questions.
Right.
That's not terribly helpful.
Correct.
Yeah. So then after that initial appointment, I would say typically you'd schedule then with your therapist,
Right.
for your next one. And then what happens with that next appointment, Kim? Are there any texts and messages or?
There are. So you will always get a text message the night before your appointment as that reminder, again, about the day and the time. If your appointment's on Monday, you're going to get that text on Friday. So you're going to have to remember over the weekend when your appointment is. You also, each time you come in, that survey that Joe had referenced earlier that has lots of questions, we'll have to do that each time, but it's a much shorter version of it. So there is a short survey for you to do. The link will be in that text reminder.
Yeah, and that survey is just kind of helps us visualize change, because you might respond differently to questions from week to week. I think it's really just a helpful therapeutic tool as well, because oftentimes it's hard to reflect back to think how you felt a week ago or 2 weeks ago or goodness, even a month ago.
Right.
And with that too, I often, I think that's a lot of times journaling is really helpful for students as well as an intervention. That's something I talk to students about all the time, especially if you're having a particularly hard experience during a certain period and then you feel so much better another time. It's like, why did I feel that way then,
Right.
So it's just another little idea there just regarding journaling and tracking, your wellness and whatnot. Cool. So then you'll get those appointments for those appointments, and then again, you'll probably continue to schedule. But what about, Kim, like if a student, knows a few days before they can't come, or I don't know, they need to change it or reschedule? What's the best route?
Again, you can call the office or come in person and just let us know that you need to reschedule, and we'll just find another time that works between you and the counselor's schedule. We do ask for 24 hours notice if you know that that's going to be the case, just to open up that spot maybe that you had to another student instead. Obviously, sometimes things happen, you're sick or whatnot, and you don't always know, but the more notice you give, the better, and we'll always just find another time for you.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of those calls, too, so best to make those calls when we're open. I mean, you can call when we're not and leave a voicemail. That's cool, of course.
Yes.
But so we're open between 8:30 and 4:30, and then we go on lunch from 12 to 1. It's very important to fill our bellies with food.
Yep.
Get all
you
the
have to
energy.
stay strong, right?
Yeah, so 8:30 and 4:30, best time to call or come in for that matter. And that's Monday through Friday.
Yep. Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30.
Cool. Yeah, and then, I don't know, are there any other things that you can think of, Kim, related to students and questions they might have for you?
I do want to note that we always do return phone calls, so if you call, feel free to leave a message and we will get back to you for sure. Definitely the same day. Obviously, if you call and we're not open, we'll be calling you the next day, but I would encourage to leave a message and we'll definitely get back to you.
Certainly. And then speaking of calling when we're not available, if there is some sort of, and I think it says this on our, on our door and whatnot, if you try to connect with us and we're closed, or you try to call and we're closed, you can connect with Campus Safety and Security, and they can also connect you with a 24/7 counseling service as well. So if you're outside those times, or if you're on the weekend or something like that, there's still support available. You just kind of have to access it through Campus Safety and Security, or possibly your RA too. I think I heard about that. Students can connect with them.
Yeah, definitely. If you can utilize your RA to connect you with the on-call service, or like you said, through Safety and Security. If I can, I just want to also add that please leave your name and your phone number when you call. I know everyone obviously uses cell phones now, but we have, like an old-fashioned desk phone in our office, and so I don't always see like a name or a phone number pop up to be able to return the call. So it's just an important piece.
Our phone's really tough. You got to spin that dial to hit the numbers.
I know.
And then, I'm kidding, of course. I've actually never used one of those phones.
You didn't?
Oh, no.
Oh,
I've not.
it was kind of fun to use the rotary phone.
Yeah. All right, well, Anywho, I think, that's basically what I wanted to cover today. And again, I just wanted to highlight that we're up there. I apologize for broken record situations here, but, I think it's real important. Just come up, even if you don't want to see us that day, if you just want to know where we are, for example. Because sometimes
Definitely.
Wales Hall, a little challenging to navigate.
There's lots of staircases to nowhere in Wales.
So feel free, if you have some time in between classes, you want to come up to the second floor, say hi to Kim.
Yep.
See what color her sweater is for that day. You can make a note of it or whatever it is you want to do.
And we also are a site for the Elijah Project.
Oh, yes.
So if you want to come up in our waiting room, we have some food available in a cabinet and some shopping bags to take it home in. So feel free to even just come up for that if you want to.
Yeah, great point, Kim. Yeah, so feel free to come up, or if you feel like you have a friend who needs support, you can also come up and talk to us and just,
Yes.
be as most informed as you can to help your friend. Because, we're here to support all students, and we want to make sure students are informed about what we do and what we provide, and want to reduce any hesitation. So
Absolutely.
just come in and see us. So
We're all very nice people.
yeah, and so thanks a bunch, Kim. Thanks so much for all that info, and everybody have a great week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.